It's James with NetNewsLedger. We're in the studio with Bill Mauro, the Liberal MPP, and the candidate in Thunder Bay Atikokan. Bill, it was an interesting night last night, the Thunder Bay Atikokan debate out in the Nebing ward. What was your take on the debate?
Well, it was a good opportunity. We had, I think, a pretty nice turnout from the community. I thought it was a good showing of interest in the issues that were being discussed, and I'm glad that we were able to have all four candidates, I think, or rather five candidates, be at the debate.
Now, one of the issues that came up was on the wind farm, and you made an announcement last night on the wind farm.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell our viewers?
Well, a couple of things on the wind. You're right. It was what I thought was a very significant piece. Obviously, I think everyone who's talked with me on this issue over the last number of years understands and know that I am opposed to the project in this location and have been from day one. One of the most recent developments in regard to the project was Fort William First Nations feeling that they had not been adequately consulted. And they were looking for assurances that the Ministry of the Environment, who has the approval mechanisms through the renewable energy approval process, would not make a decision on whether the project could go forward or could not go forward until their issue, that being Fort William First Nations issues regarding their assertion around lack of consultation, was heard. And so just Sunday evening sometime or Sunday afternoon, we received confirmation that in fact that is the case. The Ministry of the Environment will not make a decision, as has been requested by the community and Fort William First Nation. They won't make a decision until that consultative piece has been heard. So hopefully for the community, they're very excited and pleased by that development. And I was happy to be able to deliver that news last night at the debate.
Now, one of the issues in Ontario, of course, is energy. It's got people concerned over hydro rates. It's got people concerned over energy supply.
Yeah.
What, as the MPP in probably, call it coal generation battleground, what is happening in the energy field that our readers need to know? We've got two plants now that save jobs.
Yeah.
What does that mean in our region?
Well, thank you for mentioning it, and I'm always happy to talk about this, James. In fact, there were 5 coal plants in Ontario, 2 of them in my riding of Thunder Bay Atikokan, and I'm very pleased that both of them are remaining open. This has been an issue for me right since 2003. As you'll know, all 3 political parties, the Conservatives, the NDP, and the Liberals, all committed to closing coal. But nobody was talking about converting them. Nobody was talking about what the loss of jobs or tax base would mean to the communities. What really fueled me in the fight was understanding very acutely what the closure would mean to the community of Atikokan. I lived there for a year when I was a young man. I in fact worked on that coal plant when it was being constructed. So the fight for me began back in 2004, almost immediately. We were elected in October of 2003, and I'm very excited and proud by what we have managed to achieve. There is still a group in Thunder Bay that doesn't feel that the plant in Thunder Bay, that when it will be converted, is going to have enough fuel on site. I've been very clear with the folks that I've talked to about this. I'm fine. I don't need to necessarily debate with anybody about it. If you feel there's not enough, let's go off and make sure that we have enough. That's sort of become the dominant issue and really sideline the fact, unfortunately from my perspective, that the plants have been retained. And in terms of the long-term energy security of our region, obviously both of those will play a role, and so it's a good news story for us on a variety of levels for the jobs that are still there had they been permanently closed, the tax base back to both of those communities, and of course the energy capacity that they provide.
Okay, the other area, of course, is infrastructure, and there's been announcements made about more twinning on the highway. One of the issues raised at the debate last night was a set of lights or something at the with regard to the James Street Bridge and Highway 61.
Yes.
What should happen there? What do we need to do?
It's emotional. You know, we all heard last night, people are very concerned with the traffic patterns. I mentioned in the evening last night out at the debate at the Nor'Wester that once the bridge fire had occurred affecting traffic patterns there, I very quickly wrote a letter over to MTO asking them what it was they intended to do, because we all understood and obviously anticipated that the flow would be there and it would become very significant. I think it's a bit dangerous when, as individuals and people running for political office, we begin to present to the public that we can design highway infrastructure and that we know best what is the best to be put up at that intersection. You know, I don't pretend to know if a set of traffic lights would make that intersection safer or in fact would make it more dangerous. So we made sure that the MTO was aware of the concerns that were being expressed in my constituency office. We expressed that to the MTO. They are the traffic engineers. They're the professionals. And that's the situation as it exists in regard to that particular intersection.
Sometimes you got to get the pros in the game and not...
It's emotional. I respect people's concern with it and understand that. Having said that, I don't think as, you know, laymen, we want to be off designing highway infrastructure.
Now, as the campaign gets into its last little pit, tonight the leadership debate, how important do you think the leadership debate is to the outcome of the election?
You know, I think it may have an impact, perhaps more than usual. I think in this election, there are a significant number of people who are undecided. When I'm doing my door knocking, it seems like a lot of them are having a higher percentage. Somebody says 15 to 20% are undecided. They're having a difficult time making up their minds. So in that regard, tonight's leadership debate with our premier and the two other leaders will potentially have a larger impact. So we'll see how that all plays out. There's anger out there for sure. There's anger with all three parties, including ours. I don't mind saying that. I hear how frustrated people are with the NDP not supporting a budget that was very good from a social justice perspective, that was also very good for Northern Ontario. They're angry with Mr. Hudak and some of the policies that he's put forward. And of course, as I've said, they're angry with us for reasons as well. So I think that's created some of this undecided piece that exists in the community. And I suppose tonight that leadership debate may have more impact on helping people make up their minds than might otherwise be the case.
Now, the last bit of the campaign is coming.
Yeah.
What's your plans for the last 10 days? You're a runner, so I'm assuming you're going to put a few miles on the streets.
I need to do that this afternoon. I didn't get it in this morning. But I will be running in the literal sense and of exercise. But also the campaign continues, as you mentioned, for about another 10 days or so. I think we have the Thunder Bay Atikokan candidates 2 or 3 debates left. So those are still to come. But otherwise, it's the basic get your fingernail dirty kind of campaigning that you need to do over the last 10 days. And we're a week this Thursday as we tape this on Tuesday from having E-Day. So we're closing in on the finish line.
All right. Well, good luck. Keep
James,
it going.
thank you.
And thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Anytime.
Yeah.